Hello there. Welcome back to Grade 10 Economics. In this video, we want to look at an essay question that is from the question paper of November 2023. And we are going to look at question 6. And this question 6 is about macroeconomics. So the first question that we have reads discuss the details, discuss in details the effects of the business cycles. And this question is got 26 marks. And the second part is saying and it's got 10 marks. So this becomes the additional part. This becomes the additional part. So in the main body, that's where we are going to discuss in detail the effects of the business cycle. So basically, that's what we have. And remember, the layout of our CSA, we are supposed to start with the introduction, then we go to the main body, whereby in the main body, that's where we're also going to include our additional parts. And then finally, we are supposed to have our conclusion. So our question is on that question. So on the requirements of our introduction, remember will be given you the instruction in terms of how we are supposed to come up with the introduction. And our introduction has got 2 marks. So going at one introduction, you would see that this is what is required in a good topic. First point is saying do not include any part of the question in your introduction. It's very important to take note. So do not repeat to write the question again in the introduction. That is not required. Then secondly, do not include any part of the introduction in your body. So after you've compiled your introduction, you are not supposed to again repeat the parts of the introduction in the main body. And then lastly, avoid saying in the introduction what you are going to discuss in the body. So basically, that's what you are not supposed to do. So you're not supposed to again to preempt what we are going to discuss in the main body in the introduction. So basically, what should constitute the introduction? To simplify it, you should just try to see terms that are in the question that you can define in the introduction. So you can just define it, then you end there. That's the most appropriate introduction that you can come up with. So you can just define any term that you see in the question. Or be it if you choose to identify 2 terms, 2 economic terms that are in the question. So basically, it's not just supposed to be a term, but an economic term that we are seeing in the question that you can define. So we are going to our question and try to identify those terms that we can define. If we have a term or terms that we can try to identify. So we'll see that our question is discuss in detail the effects of the business cycle. So we can quickly identify that we have got term business cycle that we are seeing there. Then we can go to our introduction and define it. So it basically define business cycles and then we end there. So business cycles, we know that these are consecutive periods of increasing and decreasing of economic activity. Remember, we have a fluctuating pattern in terms of a business cycle whereby we are going to have upswings and downswings. So basically, that's how we are going to define it. So we go to our other section and try to see in terms of that definition. We go to our other section. So this is going to be our introduction. And it reads that business cycles are defined as consecutive periods of increasing and decreasing of economic activity. So this is how you can come up with your introduction. So accepting an relevant introduction that is there, it can also be marked correct. But this is the simplest way to come up with it. So we go to the second part, which is going to be our main body, so of the business cycles. So you're going to see that business cycles, we said, they are made up of upswings and downswings. In upswings, that's where we are going to see the recovery phase and also the prosperity phase. That is the upswing. Then downswing, that's where we are going to see the recession and the depression. So basically, typically, we are going to try to discuss in terms of when we're having an upswing, what effect does it have on different factors? For example, we have got this one, which is the aggregate supply and aggregate demand. In an upstream, what transpires in terms of aggregate supply and aggregate demand. So we have other factors that we are going to look at in terms of upswings and downswings. We can also look at changes in exchange rate. In an upstream, what happens to the exchange rate? In a downstream, what happens to the exchange rates? And then we can look at behavior of economically vulnerable people that we have in the economy. How are they affected when we are having an upswing, and how are they affected when they're having a downswing? So basically, that typical approach is the one that we are going to look at. So we are going to start with changes in aggregate supply and aggregate demand. Aggregate supply, we are just saying, and this is the total supply that we have in the economy after we've combined all the producers and that we are having in the economy. And the total production of goods and services is, if you combine it, we call it aggregate supply. The same applies to aggregate demand. Is the demand of the whole economy, which combines and demand of all industries that we have in the economy, and demand of all households. So basically, that's what we have in aggregate supply and aggregate demand. So how is aggregate supply and aggregate demand affected when you are having, for example, an upswing? Obviously, there is going to be a positive adjustment when we have an upswing. And remember, in the upswing, that's where we are going to have a high economic activity. So basically, when we have high economic activity, it means we are also going to have high supply. Our supply is going to be increased. And also, we are going to notice also increase in demand. So on the first point, it reads aggregate supply is the total supply of goods and services in the economy that domestic firms are willing to sell at a certain price and time, which is the definition of aggregate produced by the domestic firms over a certain period. Then during the downswing of the business cycle now, there is a decrease in total spending. There is a decrease in total spending. Downswing is when we are having a lower economic activity. Economic activity is decreasing. So that's where we're going to have a decrease in total spending. And then also firms decrease their production levels. Firms decrease their production level. Remember, in a downswing, it's associated with the high cost of production. It's associated with inflation. So obviously, we are going to see a reduction in the production levels as cost of production will be high. And also, we are going to see a decrease in total spending. We are going to see also in the downswing, also it's associated with the high interest rates. So credit lines are very expensive to access. And then obviously, even the households cannot easily access money. So obviously, their spending will be also reduced. So this is what we have in terms of a downswing in the business cycle in regard to aggregate supply and aggregate demand. So we go to during the upswing of the business cycle, there is an increase now in total spending and firms increase their output levels. So this is what we have for the first part. The second part, we've got changes in economic growth rate. So what happens with the economic growth rates when we are in an upswing and we're in a downswing? But a growth rate on its own, economic growth rates, we are talking about the economic activities, the level of economic activities. If we have got rates, we are talking about the level of economic activity, and we are saying if we have a growth rate, it means we are going to have an increase in economic activity. In other words, we are having an increase in the total production of goods and services. So basically, during the downstream of the business cycle, so economic growth obviously will decrease. Output starts to decrease slowly, then at a faster rate. So this is the description that we have on the first point. Second point is saying as the bottom of the cycle approaches, which is the drop in output slows. So that's the description in terms of downstream. Slowly during the recovery. It's just explained within the context of the phases that we have in an upstream and downstream. The second point is saying the rate of increases during the prosperity phase until the peak is reached. So this is during the upstream. Then an increase in economic growth rate is important because this is just outlining the increase in economic growth rate. We are saying increase in economic growth rate indicates high economic activity, higher production of goods and services. So one, it says it creates more employment opportunities, and then secondly, higher tax collection means that government can increase services and welfare levels. So in terms of creation of more employment opportunities, that when you're having a higher economic growth, it means you're also having higher production of goods and services, and obviously firms are expanding their production capacity, so they will accommodate more workers, and we have more employment opportunities. So we go to the next point, say consumers can buy more goods and services and enjoy better standards of living. So that is under when we are having economic growth. Those are the benefits. So we go to the next part of the question of the answer section. Now we are looking at changes. Now we are looking at the next part, which is change in employment. Changes in employment, obviously, we are looking at during the downswing and during the upswing. But obviously, during the downswing, we are going to see employment decreasing because that's when we are having higher cost of production during a downswing. And then the firms are contracting their production capacity, so they accommodate less workers. So this is exactly like that. So first point is saying consumers demand and therefore output decrease. So demand decrease and output decrease are leading to a lower demand of labor. Obviously, that's what typically we have. And then employment decreases after the peak, and then as the situation depends, people are losing the depression. So basically, that's what we have. So typically, also we're going to look at the absolute in employment. So our first point is saying is one is it is at highest levels during the prosperity as skilled workers. And the last point, unemployment among unskilled and low skilled workers in South Africa remain high. So basically, that's what we have in terms of an upswing. But we are saying during an upswing, we are going to have higher level of economic activity. More workers are going to be accommodated, and we are going to see employment rate going up. We have next point, next aspect that is changes in price levels. So changes in price levels as a factor. How is it affected by upswings and downswings? So remember, upswings and downswings are described in the business cycle. So this is the effect of business cycles on these factors, effect on business cycles on changes in price levels. So we are going to analyze the business cycles in relation to upswings and downswings. Then first point is saying as the prosperity phase progresses, there is an increase in demand and a shortage of output. Then this allows producers to increase their prices, leading to an increase in inflation. And then as the recession sets in, prices rise less quickly, inflation rate drops. In very deep recessions and depression, prices can drop to encourage demand. So these are some of the adjustments that can take place in terms of changes in price levels. Then you've got changes in exchange rates. So remember, exchange rate, we're just saying the price of one currency in relation to the other is just the definition that we can give in terms of the exchange rate. So how is it affected when we are having business cycles in terms of upswings and downswings? The exchange rate is the rate at which one currency is exchanged for another. And during the downswing of the business cycle, imports and foreign investments decrease. This is just clear that when we are having a downswing, we are going to see foreign direct investment or foreign investment decreasing. So the demand for the currency decrease, and its prices also decrease. So this is what we have. On the last, we have got also effects on economically vulnerable. So economically vulnerable and economically disadvantaged. Obviously, they are going to be more affected when they're having a downswing. So during downswing, imports and foreign investments increase, imports and foreign investments increase. So the first point is saying there are fewer opportunities for employment, so the economically vulnerable often find themselves in a desperate position. Obviously, they are going to be negatively affected when we are having a downswing. Then the state has less money to spend, so social services and welfare grants are not likely to increase much. So because remember, the revenue that is used to pay the welfare grants is collected through maybe a taxation. So when you are having a downswing, obviously there's less revenue that is going to be collected because our firms are making less profits due to the high cost of production that's associated with the downswing, and also that will lead to lower welfare grants be issued to the citizens of the country. So basically, that's the description that we are having there. Then we go to the next part where we have during an upswing now for the business cycle. There are more jobs on offer, so the economically vulnerable are more likely to be able to gain employment, although their position is always difficult. Obviously, in an upswing, that's where they have a more advantage because they can be accommodated in workplaces, and obviously, the standard of living basically in the country is going to be enhanced. So lastly, the state is in a better position to provide social services and welfare grants. So basically, that's the typical explanation that we have in terms of upswing of the business cycle in relation to the economically vulnerable people. So on the additional part now that we are going to look at how can endogenous factors benefit the economy. So basically we have endogenous factors. Endogenous factors, we are saying these are factors that affect the economy from inside the economy. Remember, when you're looking about exogenous, we are saying they are factors that are affecting from outside the economic system. So this one are affected from inside the economic system. So typically, we are going to look at increasing consumption. Consumption as a factor that is an endogenous factor, and then also look at interest rate as an endogenous factor. We can also look at the infrastructure position that we have in the country as a factor, and then also the level of subsidizing in terms of subsidies that we have, and we can also look at spending, government spending as a factor. So how can these factors benefit the economy? Obviously, when they are benefiting, they should be positive. So, for example, we're talking about consumption. They should be increasing consumption. So basically, endogenous factors can benefit the economy by we've got increasing consumption. Businesses will get more profits and more labor will be employed to provide for increased demand for goods. Secondly, decreasing interest rate growth. So when interest rates are decreasing, remember interest rates represents cost of borrowing. So when they are decreasing, it means it's now cheaper to go and access funds. So firms can access funds, they expand their production capacities, and they create more growth. So basically, that's what we have. Then next we're going to improve the infrastructure that will attract foreign investors into the country. So infrastructure also determines foreign direct investments. Foreigners can come and open businesses in the local economy if we have got an improved infrastructure. That is a positive for the economy in many respects. We are going to enjoy more macroeconomic benefits if we have a better infrastructure in terms of communication networks, in terms of the transport networks that we have in our country. That is going to enhance investment in the country, and that is a positive. So this is what we have. The next, subsidizing exports will enlarge the market for local producers that compete in global economy. So when we subsidize exports, we are supporting firms that are producing in the local economy so that more is produced and exported. It can come in the form of export incentives so that we encourage those that are producing to produce more so that we export more. So basically, this is what we have. Remember, what is being exported is being sold outside the country, and is determined by what is being produced in the local economy. So basically, the promotion should be based on the local production. So this is what we have. Then we go to the last point, increasing government spending that create more job opportunities for households while improving can come in the form of our subsidies. So if we increase our subsidies, we are increasing the funding that is given to firms that are facing high cost of production so that they face less cost of production. So in that case, we make those firms expand their production capacities, and then they create more job opportunities. So this is the last point that we have. Remember, also government spending is part of our fiscal policy. So one of the instruments that is affected under fiscal policy, which is also controlled by the government. So basically, this is what we have on the additional part. And then on the conclusion, we can just try to go back and see what is required according to our conclusion. So we have instructions in terms of how we go about our conclusion. Any high order conclusion should include a brief summary of what has been discussed without repeating the facts already mentioned. So you don't have to repeat what we have already mentioned in the main body. That's the first hint that we are given. The next one, any opinion or value judgment on the facts discussed. So you can come up with an opinion or any value judgment on the facts that we have discussed in the main body. Then nextly, additional support information to strengthen discussion or analysis. You can come up also with additional support information to strengthen discussion. For example, you are talking about the discussion that we've been trying to come up with in this essay, and then you come up with any additional support information that you can include in your conclusion if required. So if any of these points, you can just choose one that is easier for you and include it in your introduction. You don't have to include everything that has been pointed out here. Just try to pick one point that you can deem applicable according to your essay that you have just come up with. So we try to see the conclusion that we have according to this essay. If you come here, you see that we've got our conclusion here, which reads the business cycle is the indicator of the position of a real gross domestic product, which is GDP. So it helps economists to predict the future using past information. So basically, if you go to the requirements of our conclusion, you would see that this is just a brief summary of what has been discussed. A brief summary of what has been discussed. And you are seeing that we didn't repeat facts already mentioned. So basically, that's what we in terms of the conclusion of this essay according to this video. Thank you for listening. Let's not forget to subscribe and share to our channel. Let's share the link to our colleagues who are doing grade 10 economics. More typical examination questions will be uploaded on this channel. More match exam questions will be uploaded. So let's get notified. Let's turn on the notification button so that when we upload new videos, you get notified. As for this video, I'm signing out. Let's meet again in the next video.